actually, it's happening. Wow, this is fantastic. Are we rich now?
Do we have people listening now?
I'm Bryan Jones. I've been in real estate a little bit of time, and I thought this would be a fun podcast to introduce other agents out there to let us tell everybody their life stories in the real estate world. We all come across everything from dying people in houses to crazy people on boats swimming around naked. So this is a chance to tell those stories to the world and see what everyone thinks of the jobs that we have to do and the combat pay we are foregoing on occasion. So anyway, I'd like to introduce Fletcher Edens and Rodney Guerin. Fletcher?
Yes. I'm Fletcher Edens. I've been in real estate for, well, 2 different times, but adding up to about 24 years, and 20 of it's been with Bryan, mostly at Lake James, and we've been through a lot of fun things, and this ought to be kind of fun. I'm worried about us saying something off-kilter occasionally, but
it's a legitimate worry.
I think we'll be okay for the most part.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Rodney, tell us about yourself.
So I'm Rodney. I've been around this real estate world for, I guess, 13 years now. That seems pretty crazy, though. And, I've always threatened many times to write this book. We're going to add that to chapter 4 of the book. The funny stories, but, I can't write. So maybe I can talk.
Fletcher's good at writing. Maybe he can write your
Maybe
story.
he can write the book about this.
That's right.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yes. So, Rodney, what did you do before real estate?
So I worked in retail for 22 many years and did multi-unit management with little companies like Tractor Supply Company, and just had to get out. It was time for a change, and found the real estate world due to my wife, Ashley, and it's been life-changing ever since. And
you sell where?
I sell in the greater Hickory market. So anything but 45 minutes from here, we are in downtown Hickory. That's what I service and sell. So anywhere Hickory, Lenore, Morganton, Taylorsville, down south to Marion, Lincolnton, that sort of area.
Fletcher, what did you do before real estate?
You know what I did.
Well, you can tell the general public.
Everybody else doesn't know, though.
I was a club golf pro for about 3 years. Before that, we had a family convenience store and a little marina at Ocean Isle Beach, where I met my wife and lived for 8 years before coming up this way. And we are all with Keller Williams Unified, right? That's what brings the three of us together in different times and ways that we were combined with them. So that's a good thing for us.
Yeah, absolutely. We joined Keller Williams thanks to Rodney. Rodney made us drink the Kool-Aid. It's been a great transition from independent real estate world, and we haven't looked back. We've been pretty pleased with it, and got a great support staff. So go Keller Williams. But
some of us really needed some administration help.
Hugely.
That's been the best thing for us.
Yes, absolutely. Rodney, how is your retail world translated into real estate? Because problems in the retail world have got to be pretty similar to what we have here. Give us a story of a complicated customer in the real estate world in the retail world first.
Yeah, put me on the spot there, don't you? So when I think about my number one problem customer is this very large lady who had a lawnmower who just would not pull her large self up the hill in her backyard. And this is one of the stories that broke the camel's back, per se, of getting out of retail, and that, she just could not be happy, and she had nothing better to do than harass my manager and I about this lawnmower that was incapable of moving her up this hill. And so that's just kind of set the ball rolling to get out of what was going on.
She needed a tractor.
Yeah, she needed a John Deere is what she needed, and I bought it for her.
She needed a John Buffalo. Stronger than a deer. Fletcher, what's one of the most interesting questions you've had a client ask you about Lake James, or back when you were selling real estate down at the beach, you've seen a lot out there. What would you say stands out as the number one most interesting question you've ever heard? I'll lead the way.
Thank you.
Yes. So we often give boat tours to people when they come to Lake James, and my favorite question is, how deep is the lake? And of course, the best answer is it goes all the way to the bottom. And half the time they get it. The other half, they go, "Oh, well, how deep is it by the shore?" And I get to say, well, where the water meets the shore, it's actually dry wet. It's about, 1/100th of an inch to dry, wet, shallow. And they're like,
So
that
this
doesn't
is
sound
an
like
example of you being a smartass.
Yes, absolutely.
This is how you get business, is being a smart ass.
We weed through. We kiss a lot of frogs. We weed through those people.
Yeah.
Well, I recently had a client suggest that we pay for his renovations in his house. That's my most recent one. We've been in it long enough to where we don't necessarily have to work with folks that are going to be that tough. But we did find a way to work through that, and we'll be working with that fella. But I guess I'm going to have to think back on some of these things if you're going to be asking me these questions.
Well, we should have provided you the list beforehand, or you could have read the list that we provided you.
Did you send a list?
Must have went to spam.
What was the smallest commission check you've ever received?
I have a check from the PGA of America for $9.98
Yes,
for making a cut in a small tournament. That wasn't a commission check, but I feel like it's something fun to talk about.
Did you cash it?
No, I don't know where it is though now. I wanted to frame it. It's somewhere in my closet, but I intend to frame it. Smallest commission check, I think we've had some referrals in the $300 or $400 range before.
I think you're right.
That's the funny thing about real estate is you work harder for those small checks than you do a lot of times the larger checks. It's the smaller homes that you put more hours into because people aren't as experienced buying. You have to deal with banks and sometimes appraisers and all kinds of mess. So it's not the size of the check that shows how hard you work in real estate. That's for sure.
No. Truth on that one.
I've got a good story there. So we sold a house here local in Hickory that was listed in the MLS outside of the area, but it was listed in Hickory. So nobody was looking at it, and we put it under contract because we find those things. Got all the way to closing, got to the closing CD, reviewed it, and it had $100 listed on the commission line. Ooh. And we realized we never looked.
What's a good agent isn't supposed to look at that.
That's right.
It's not supposed to influence what you
because
show.
commissions aren't negotiable, right? Oh, we weren't supposed to talk about
yes,
that.
Yes, they are.
Oh, yeah. So, there we are sitting at the closing table, and we've got $100 on the commission line. And it was 100% legit. It's just our dumb butts had not looked for it.
Wow. That's why nobody was showing it.
Could be.
One of the
That's
reasons.
probably why. Yeah. What's the most ridiculous thing you've seen a seller and buyer fight over?
A mattress. And I don't mean like a new, like from the factory mattress in a plastic bag. Mattress with body prints on both sides. $550,000 house, king size mattress. Both parties wanted it. And it wasn't anything special except for the body prints in it. And it almost killed the deal.
Wow.
You ever seen anybody fight over anything?
No.
No?
I'm sure I have. I just didn't prepare for that.
I watched a $1.1 million deal almost blow up over 3 plastic outdoor, those pink or aqua blue lawn chairs that you can pick up at the side of the road at a Buc-ee's or something for $15, and they argued over that to the point where it was going to fall apart. So we agreed to pay the $45 and buy the $15 lawn chairs each for the seller so he could take with him and the buyer could have the ones there. So that was our conflict resolution.
Seems like it always comes down to that.
Yeah.
So I have a question. I'm going to skip your list here, Bryan.
Yeah.
So just why do we want people to listen to us? Why are they going to listen to us?
Ideally, you've been in the business long enough. Everyone's got their stories out there. We all have the the person that you put in your car and he has you drive you around, shows you he has you show him 10 to 15 houses. You start to do paperwork, start to do offers, and it turns out that he just wanted to see the area and get a feel and a tour. And you've spent 3 days, including missing your kid's birthday party, doing just that. Or it's a more creative story. I walked in on a guy one time. We were showing a house, knocked on the door, walked in, asked if anybody was there, and no, didn't hear anything. Went in there, turned out there was a guy having a heart attack on the stairs, and called 911. They came, did all their stuff to him, all while we continued to look at the house. And those are the unique things to our business, and I feel like agents have an experienced agent has enough stories out there that they don't get to tell those stories to the world. And this is an opportunity to have an agent come on and tell us about him or herself and what they've experienced, and for good or bad. It doesn't have to necessarily be a funny story, but it could be a poignant story out there that the world needs to hear. So that's what it is, and it's an audience that not necessarily the general public cares about, but what other real estate agents want to hear about. And that's why I would like that to happen for our podcast out there.
Opportunity for us to get to know other people in the business too, all around the state. Maybe if we can create that big a group. I want to try to make it interesting so people want to listen. So we need to have people with some experience that have some stories to tell.
Absolutely.
I think there's plenty of funny ones out there too, so probably a lot of funny, maybe some serious, but probably more funny than serious, I bet.
Do you have anything you want to accomplish with this podcast?
Oh, I was just, writing that book, but here to this microphone instead, get those stories out there. Why do you knock on every door when you're in a house that's closed?
The oral telling versus the written telling.
Yeah, that's right. It only takes one naked man behind that door to knock on all of them. So
that's exactly right.
Don't you need to tell us what you did before and all that?
Well, of course. How much time do y'all have? So I was after graduated from NC State in '99, moved up to Boone to become a fly fishing guide and a ski instructor. Ended up out west in Breckenridge, Colorado. Came back. Ended up getting married, so all my fun had to end, and figured I needed to get a real job. So I got into real estate up in the high country with Boone, Century 21. Had a phenomenal office, great mentors. Ended up getting the job down on Lake James back in 2003. So I moved down there, commuted from Boone, and then the commute got too much and decided to move to my wife's hometown of Hickory. So here we are. And now we still cover the Boone, Blowing Rock area, Lake James, Lake Lure, Lake Hickory. People find us for high-end waterfront or water-related properties. Could be a stream, could be a river, could be a trout pond, whatever that is. They seem to gravitate towards us in that regard. And Rodney Fletcher and I are now expanding out into the Lake Hickory area to cover that. We've all had sales out there, but we feel like it's time to put forth some real effort into that market and
road hiss
and to bring our marketing and our skill set to translate our success on Lake James and Hickory into Lake Hickory, because it's a hidden gem. So, but that being said, that's what I hope to accomplish with this podcast, and Fletcher nailed it, to create relationships with other agents out there, to sit down face to face. Oftentimes we don't meet the agent that we're working with, and be able to get to know them and create a relationship that helps everyone out in the future.
Okay then. We'll see you next time.